Guys, how's it going? Want to do a question of the day today. So the question that we're going to answer, I posted in the actual the body of the text from Amir, and he posted it on Saturday, I believe. So I apologize for the delay and not getting back to it sooner. It's a good question, and it's a question that I've kind of gotten from a few people. And so basically the question is, I have a client and it's a local business, and they've given me $200 to test Facebook ads. What's the best strategy? So I'm going to kind of answer this question, probably not the way you want to hear it answered, but it's a reality, and that's that you got to be selective with the clients you take on. And what I mean by that is a lot of people in the paid media space, especially when they're working with small businesses, set them up for failure right out of the gate by setting expectations that aren't aligned with reality. And so the reality with Facebook ads, with PPC, with any type of paid media for cold traffic with a relatively new business or a business that's new to online media without any historical data is you're going to have to test, right? You're not going to, I'm not going to say you're not going to blanket say it, but the chances of you hitting a winning ad out of the gate with no historical data, no lookalike, no existing audiences, no source data, without any pixel data is really, really, really slim. We very rarely do that in the first few weeks of testing an ad where we just find a huge winner right out of the gate. We're testing 14, 16, 20 plus audiences and, a comparable number of ads for every campaign that we're running. And we run multiple campaigns, including retargeting sequences for most of our products. So the reality is that if a client comes to you and says, I'm only wanting a $200 test, you need to say to them, especially for, I think one of your examples was a car dealer. A car dealer, your cost per acquisition might be $1,000, but if you're selling, a $50,000 car and you're, netting a few $1,000s, that may not be a bad deal. You can scale that, right? A lot of big affiliate offers, you're paying out, very high CPA because you're doing very little work, but you're getting a scalable source of sales and revenue. So I think the dentist example you gave is even better because the dentist, I don't know about you, but my doctor, my dentist, once I'm a customer of theirs, I go back. Like that's a repeat business model, right? You don't find a new dentist every year or every 6 months, right? You go back to the same dentist. So the lifetime value of those customers is really, really high. The lifetime value of a doctor patient or a dentist patient is very high. The lifetime value of a chiropractor is really high. So those types of businesses that you're working with, risking $200 on a test is not going to get it done. What's going to happen is you might get lucky out of the gate and see a little bit of traction, but you're not going to get enough data to make any type of decision. That's the reality. So, we require, and this isn't just us, this is Facebook, 8,000 impressions per ad is the minimum number of impressions that we set before we make any decision. So unless an individual ad in an individual audience, in an individual campaign has hit 8,000 impressions, we don't touch it. And that's Facebook guidelines as well. If you make any automation rules in Facebook, which I'll do a whole nother thing on automation rules because that's a really great topic, they benchmark that at 8,000 impressions. So before any of the rules kick in, the ad you're actually doing that on needs to have 8,000 impressions. And Facebook basically tells you that, before that, the results are too varied. Like you could hit you could get 2 or 3 sales out of the gate, and I'm sure this has happened to you before, where you run a new ad, you launch it, and you get 3 sales in the first night, and your cost per acquisition is like 50 cents, and you think you got a winner, but you've really only shown the ad to 1,000 people, and you scale the ad, or you make a new ad with a huge budget, and you lose all the money. That happens a lot, and that's why Facebook advises not to do that. And so the same thing goes for a client of yours. If they're not willing to spend a few $1,000s to test, they're probably not a good customer for you. The chances of you being successful and the chances of that customer being happy are really slim. Like you're really setting yourself up for a difficult experience, and you don't need to. So we have set testing packages with any of our agency clients, and obviously we have a lot of credibility and we can get certain types of businesses, but we've worked with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, startups, and they get it. Not everyone gets it. So some people say, I can't afford to spend $5,000 testing or $200, $2,200 testing. and they're not a good client for us, and we pass on that. So I think an important skill that you need to learn, and this isn't about Facebook ads, this is more about running an agency, is you need to know who your perfect customer is. And you need to set expectations up front with those customers on what's realistic for them to expect from you. Because if you don't set that up front, you're going to get a lot of unhappy customers really, really quickly. Because a business owner, especially a small business owner, when they write you a check and they don't have expectations set up front of this is going to take 4 weeks to 8 weeks to test and find results, they're going to expect results instantly. So they're going to want to see sales day one, week one, leads day one, week one. And the reality is that it might take 5 weeks, it might take 8 weeks to get traction, to find an audience that works, especially for niche businesses and especially for local businesses, right? It takes a lot of testing. And going back to what I said before, especially if you're running something for a fresh business that has no existing data, and you're coming in cold and that business has no customer data, no historical data, nothing to work with, no email list, I mean, you're starting cold, and that's tough. That's really, really tough. You know, for a lot of my businesses, startup drugs, for example, it took me 4 months before I found a really profitable ad that I could scale. 4 months. And I spent probably 10 grand of my own money testing. And so that's the reality, and it's getting harder and more expensive to be effective with Facebook ads. There's more and more competition. It's getting more and more saturated. Consumer attention span is decreasing, so it's getting more and more difficult every day to find a winning ad combination. And so I know this isn't the ideal answer they probably want to hear. You probably wanted to hear, like, here's a strategy that you could use to make $200 work. But I would say it's in your best interest and the client's best interest to not take that deal. Because, you know, listen, like, and this is the other thing too, even if you charge a fee there, like let's say your management fee is 25%, right? Let's say it's a standard agency fee, 25%, 20% to manage the ad account. Maybe you do something rev share on profits or sales. On that $200, you're gonna make $50. So how much time are you gonna have to put in to test and analyze and monitor and find a winning combination for $50? I mean, I'd imagine that your hourly rate is at least $50. You're going to be spending a lot more than an hour doing this right. And so, like, the mathematics and the financials on it don't make sense at a $200 test budget. So what I would say is you really need to take a step back and understand the value that you're bringing to that business, and you need to present that value to them. And you need to make sure they understand, hey, your traditional traffic sources are drying up and they're getting less and less effective. TV, print, radio, unless you're really, really good and have nationwide. I think, you know, Robert Palmer, who's a friend of mine and is in this group, he kills it with radio. I mean, that's a sweet spot for his demo. So he would disagree with me. I mean, radio, it works for him, it works for businesses. But for a lot of small businesses, they're using mediums that just don't work anymore for them. And so you really need to pitch the value that, listen, your customers, this is where they are. If you want to reach your customers, this is where you need to be. This is why you should be doing it. These are the type of results that you could expect. But to get there, we need to do this. We need to spend $1,000 this month testing. We need to test a bunch of audiences. We need to test a bunch of ad combinations. We need to test multiple landing pages. We need to test multiple call to actions. All of these things need to be tested. And $200 will not get it done. You know, our daily test budget per audience, per test is, you know, $15. So if you're testing, you know, 10 audiences out of the gate, you're almost at the budget within a day. So it really, no matter which way you do it, no matter how you try to stretch the dollar, there's very few ways that I can see that working. And the results you said to me, if you've gotten 10 leads for a dental practice, and by leads I think you mean customers. If you've got 10 people through an ad, cold traffic, to be paying customers to actually come into the practice and pay, which is what it sounded like you said, then they should want to spend thousands. I mean, if for $200 they got 10 paying patients in the door, you should be able to get them to spend, you know, thousands of dollars a month. That's really, really impressive. So I mean, that's what I would say. And I mean, Again, that's just my opinion, and it's coming from somebody that's sold to a lot of different demographics and a lot of customer types, from small startups to 3M and big Fortune 100s. Unfortunately, the reality is that it doesn't matter how big the business is. The amount of testing required stays constant, right? So data is data, and statistics is statistics. So it doesn't matter if you're a local car dealer selling $50,000 Mercedes, or you're Apple Computers selling, $2,500 laptops. Like the amount of data you need to get to make statistically significant decisions on your media stays constant.
In 10 miles.
That's really what it comes down
72 to merge onto FL 528 East toward International Airport.
Talking. So, yeah, I mean, I know this discussion kind of changed from a discussion about how to allocate your budget to how to pick clients. But I think that's really an important topic for this group as Facebook ad buyers. If you run an agency, if you buy Facebook ads for small businesses, you really need to take that into account. You really need to understand that if you don't set those expectations and you don't get proper budget, the proper funding, it's going to be very difficult for you to build a profitable and scalable business. Because I just don't see it $200 a month a way for you to ever make money there. That's just reality. So I think you need to go back to the drawing board, maybe go back to that client, show them the data, and say, listen, like, this is amazing. I talked to a lot of veterans in the industry, and they say, like, this is not common, that we should have spent this and this and this, but we got these results for $200. I would highly recommend, let's test $1,000 this month, and here's what we're going to do with that $1,000, and make it clear too that that's not $1,000 going to you, right? That's media. That's going to testing. That's going to improving the business and growing sales. And that's very important too, that you're not just going to take that money and profit it. So that's really the, I hope that helps. I know it's not a strategy or game plan for the $200, but I think that's your best path forward, is to really reevaluate your client base and make sure they understand expectations and the amount of data required to do this and do it effectively. So if you have any questions, feel free to, again, comment below. I'll, reply as best as I can, and we can keep this conversation going. But yeah, I hope that helped. And like I said, I know it's not a strategy for spending 200 hours, but I think in the long run, this model and this approach is going to help you avoid a lot of mistakes and be a lot more effective with your agency. Thanks, guys.